Hello everyone and welcome to my Y&R Insider 24 update channel. What info will The Young and the Restless Sienna give Kyle about Audra? On The Young and the Restless, the LA storyline gets more mysterious with every episode. Now that Kyle spotted Holden and Sienna engaging in what looked to be a heated argument, he's on the trail for information. He wants to shield Claire from Holden in any way he can because he has never trusted him. Kyle went to Sienna's club and tried to pump her for info on Holden and Audra. She didn't say very much until the end of the episode. What happened Friday on The Young and the Restless? Sienna's husband Mitch has been a mystery man on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. On Friday's episode of The Young and the Restless, Kyle went to Sienna's nightclub, the Shadow Room, hoping to dig up dirt on Holden. When he entered the club, Sienna was leaving a voicemail for her husband, Mitch, saying this was the third time she'd called him and he was supposed to be home 2 days ago. She asked him to call her back because she needed him to know about something significant. We know she's referring to Noah's car crash, which, coincidentally, happened a day or two ago, during Mitch's absence. Was he in any way involved? Also, did Kyle overhear what Sienna said to Mitch on the phone? If he did, then let's hope he remembers the message. It may prove to be important next week, so maybe we'll get a flashback of that scene, especially if Nick or another one of Noah's loved ones asks Kyle what the message was. Kyle tried to get the lowdown on Holden and Audra. Kyle tried unsuccessfully to get the scoop on Holden on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. Sienna didn't tell Kyle very much about Holden. The only juicy tidbit she gave him was, if it's any consolation, Holden is eventually going to get bored with Claire and move on, because that man is definitely not the relationship kind. After concluding that Sienna knew more about Holden than she was willing to admit, Kyle turned his attention to Audra, the next person he desired clarification on. It feels like everything always circles back to Audra on The Young and the Restless, since we still don't know what nasty secret she and Holden are keeping. We already know Sienna doesn't like Audra. So when Kyle spoke her name, she immediately tried to end the conversation, telling him she was busy and had no intention of talking about either Holden or Audra. Why did Sienna change her mind after Mitch called back? Mitch called Sienna back on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. A minute later, Mitch called Sienna back, and she quickly changed her mind. "I'll think about giving you something you can work with," she told Kyle. "Come back later tonight." What information is she going to give him? Why wouldn't she tell him anything before Mitch called? Does she assume Mitch will tell her he's coming home that night, and then he can talk to Kyle himself? Apparently, Mitch knows Audra, too. Does he know Holden's and Audra's secret? If he does, would he be willing to tell it to a complete stranger? We can't imagine so. This Mitch character appears to be dishonest, and he will only divulge the information to Kyle if he receives something in return. Could that be money or something else, possibly something sinister? Is Kyle getting in over his head? We'll have to wait until next week to find out. Catch all new episodes of The Young and the Restless weekdays on CBS and Paramount+. Kyle's continued obsession with Audra, Claire can't let go. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Kyle Abbott seems unable to stop himself. His impulsive nature was smothering Claire Newman. But just when she started to turn back toward him in Los Angeles, California, he repeated a pattern involving the other woman. That's who Audra Charles really is. She is the other woman in Kyle's life. Claire doesn't have relationship experience beyond Kyle. However, she is not naive when she realizes that Audra's intense feelings for him have a deeper meaning. Kyle appears unable to prevent himself from seeking to balance the daytime scales with Audra, even though that effort means nothing and bothers Claire. Erin's character increasingly sees that Kyle's focus on Audra is reflective of deeper feelings for her that he seems unable to recognize. Who is Sienna Bacall, and what is her purpose? Will Sienna Bacall, played by daytime veteran Tamara Braun, prove to be a short-term player? It's hard to know who Braun's character will prove to be. That calculation will undoubtedly include her husband, Mitch Bacall, who is played by Roger Howarth, an additional veteran of daytime television. LA is home to both of these characters. So, Y&R could have these characters remain there once the storyline involving Noah Newman is resolved. But there's a clear opening to allow Sienna or Mitch to shift to Genoa City, Wisconsin, depending upon soapy circumstances. Kyle Abbott can't forget Audra Charles. Kyle made a grand gesture, similar to one Victor Newman would make without the billions. He took an unplanned trip to California, where Claire and Holden Novak went on a sightseeing adventure. In his day, the character played the field. So, he knows what Holden was up to. Get Claire out of GC and make a move on her. However, despite Claire offering the first real words of encouragement he's received in weeks, Kyle still has Audra on his mind. His talk with Sienna about Audra came shortly after Claire asked him if he was giving up, implying her and their relationship. That response took Kyle by surprise after he promised to back off and fly home. Claire Newman doesn't fully trust Holden Novak. Holden is, in fact, a distraction. Kyle doesn't see that, but Claire feels that way. She knows that Holden admitted to developing feelings for her before they left GC. That didn't prevent her from traveling with him because her heart is still with Kyle, and she sees Holden as a friend and not her next boyfriend. Claire doesn't believe that Holden has told her everything about whatever his connection was with Sienna. That side story will fall whenever Claire learns that Kyle is seeking information from Sienna about Audra. That means Kyle has retained his passion for Silver's character, and it's a growing problem. This site is a leading source for everything linked to the young and the restless. News and spoilers for Y&R will be posted here frequently. The recent Los Angeles arc in The Young and the Restless has introduced a dark, tantalizing mystery that's quickly pulling viewers deeper into its web. What began as Kyle Abbott's attempt to protect Claire Newman from Holden Novak has evolved into a twisting narrative of lies, seduction, and emotional chaos. And at the center of it all stands Sienna Bacall, a woman whose silence says more than her words, and whose next confession may change everything we know about Audra Charles. Sienna's role, the keeper of dangerous knowledge. When Kyle walks into Sienna's club, the Shadow Room, the atmosphere already feels like a warning. The name itself is telling, a place of dim lights, concealed truths, and unspoken deals. Tamara Braun plays Sienna Bacall, who runs her club like a gatekeeper of information. Everyone who passes through her doors has something to hide, and she's made a career of knowing just enough to protect herself while keeping others off balance. Kyle knows from the start that Sienna is more knowledgeable than she lets on. She's sharp, guarded, and used to dealing with powerful or dangerous men like Holden. When she says Holden isn't the relationship kind, it isn't idle gossip, it's a subtle confession that she's seen him in his truest, most manipulative form. But the real twist comes when Kyle mentions Audra Charles. Everything is changed by that name. Sienna's silence, followed by her refusal to speak, is a silent acknowledgement that Audra is a part of something much larger than Kyle can imagine. Sienna's initial sign of discomfort, her hesitation, isn't out of loyalty, it's out of fear. And when Mitch, her elusive husband, calls back, her sudden change of heart signals that something in their private world has shifted, possibly something that puts both her and Kyle in danger. Mitch Bacall. The background ghost Roger Howarth's Mitch Bacall towers over the plot like a ghost. Though unseen for much of this episode, his presence drives Sienna's every move. Her anxious voicemails reveal both worry and guilt, emotions that usually hint at secrets too heavy to bear. When she tells him that something important happened and that he needs to call her back, it's clear she's referring to Noah's car crash. But the timing of Mitch's disappearance raises disturbing possibilities. Was Mitch somehow involved in the crash? Or is he hiding from someone connected to Holden and Audra? If Mitch knows Audra, as the episode strongly implies, then his absence may not be accidental. Perhaps he's the missing link in the growing chain of deceit connecting Holden, Audra, and Sienna. His call back could signal that something has gone wrong with their arrangement, forcing Sienna to reconsider her silence. Whatever the case, when Sienna suddenly tells Kyle to return later that night, it's because Mitch's message has changed the stakes. It's not just about loyalty anymore, it's about survival. Kyle Abbott, a man lost between two women. Kyle's journey through Los Angeles is more than a subplot, it's a psychological mirror of his self-destructive impulses. Ever since his breakup with Audra, he's been walking the thin line between obsession and redemption. Claire Newman represents his chance to start over, to ground himself in something pure and real. Yet Audra remains the gravitational pull he can't resist. She's chaos in human form, and every time he swears her off, he finds himself orbiting her again. This dynamic defines Kyle's visit to Sienna. Officially, he's there to learn about Holden and protect Claire. Unofficially, he's chasing the ghost of Audra, the one woman who continues to haunt his mind and challenge his sense of control. When he presses Sienna for information, he's not just investigating a mystery, he's searching for a reason to hate Audra enough to finally let her go. But love and hate often blur in The Young and the Restless. Kyle's fixation on Audra may be the very reason he can't stop pursuing her, even as she endangers everyone around him. The nature of secrets, Sienna's dilemma. Sienna's reluctance to talk isn't random. She understands the currency of secrets. In her world, information is power, and power can get you killed. Her decision to withhold details about Holden and Audra until Mitch's call reveals a deep inner conflict. Whatever Mitch told her clearly shifts her perception of the risk she's facing. She will speak for one of two reasons if she does so, either to save herself or to harm someone else. It was crucial for the writers to have Sienna say, "Come back later tonight," rather than telling the truth right away. It builds anticipation, yes, but it also gives Sienna time to calculate. She isn't as impulsive as Kyle. She's strategic. She knows that once she talks, she can't say what she reveals. So, she'll wait for Mitch's input before deciding how much truth she can afford to tell. And what truth might that be? The clues are there. Holden's link to Audra has been implied for months, and Sienna's connection to both of them through her club, a perfect hub for secrets, blackmail, and underground dealings, suggests that she's seen more than anyone else. She might know about Audra's manipulations, Holden's schemes, and even Mitch's role in Noah's accident. But more than that, she may know why Audra and Holden are in Los Angeles in the first place, a truth that could unravel multiple storylines at once. Audra Charles, the enigma at the center. Audra Charles has always been a study in ambition, deception, and emotional armor. Her allure lies not in honesty, but in her ability to make others believe what they want to hear. Every man who falls for her, Kyle included, becomes a pawn in her long game. Yet, unlike typical soap villains, Audra's motives are layered. She's not evil for the sake of evil, she's driven by survival, revenge, and the need to stay ahead in a world that underestimates her. So, what could Sienna reveal about her? If the show's pacing and tone are any indication, Sienna's information will likely connect Audra to something darker, perhaps involving criminal money, hidden partnerships, or her manipulation of Holden. It's possible Audra used Holden as both an ally and a scapegoat in whatever dealings brought Mitch and Sienna into the picture. The car crash involving Noah could be the domino that exposes all of them. Sienna might tell Kyle that Audra has been laundering money through the shadow room, using Holden as a go-between. Or maybe she'll reveal that Mitch and Holden were partners once, and that Audra played them against each other to secure her own escape route when things went south. Whatever the truth, it will likely cast Audra not as a misunderstood woman, but as a calculating mastermind who's always one move ahead. The emotional undercurrent, Kyle's guilt and Claire's pain. While the mystery deepens, the emotional cost becomes harder to ignore. Claire Newman, ever the innocent, finds herself torn between her growing affection for Kyle and her awareness of his obsession with Audra. Her patience is admirable, but her tolerance has limits. The moment she discovers that Kyle's been prying into Audra's life behind her back through Sienna, no less, she'll see it as proof that she'll never truly have his heart. Claire's doubt isn't misplaced. Kyle's love for her is genuine, but incomplete. He sees Claire as redemption, while Audra represents unfinished business. The tragedy is that his pursuit of truth may end up destroying both relationships, the past he can't let go of and the future he desperately needs. This triangle mirrors the broader theme of The Young and the Restless, the idea that passion and destruction are two sides of the same coin. Kyle's determination to expose Audra could very well lead him down the same dark path she's walking. Holden Novak, the catalyst. Holden is the wild card. His relationship with Claire feels suspiciously manipulative, even as he presents himself as a friend. His past entanglement with Sienna hints at deeper motives, perhaps blackmail, perhaps revenge. His heated argument with Sienna is the match that lights the fuse of this storyline. He clearly sparked panic with whatever he said to her, and Kyle's presence at that confrontation ties him directly to what will happen next. If Holden and Audra are indeed working together, Sienna's knowledge of their connection could make her a target. And if Mitch has information that could expose them, his sudden disappearance makes grim sense. Holden's smooth exterior could easily hide a ruthless streak, and Audra's influence only makes him more dangerous. In classic soap fashion, the lines between ally and enemy blur constantly. Kyle believes he's protecting Claire from Holden, but he may unknowingly be stepping into Audra's trap. Thematic layers: power, seduction, and control. The LA storyline in The Young and the Restless represents a broader thematic shift than the surface drama. The show has long thrived on power dynamics in business, in love, in family. Here, power takes a more psychological form. Sienna holds information, Kyle holds determination, Audra holds emotional leverage. Each character manipulates the others, knowingly or not, in a desperate attempt to regain control over their lives. Sienna's nightclub becomes a symbolic battleground, a place where truth hides in plain sight. Every whispered conversation, every deal made behind closed doors, reinforces the idea that the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. And it's no coincidence that all of this unfolds in Los Angeles, a city built on illusion. Just as Hollywood masks its own corruption with glamour, the Shadow Room masks crime and betrayal behind music and charm. Speculating the reveal, what will Sienna tell Kyle? When Kyle returns to the club later that night, what Sienna reveals could redefine the narrative. It is plausible that she will reveal a connection between Audra and Mitch himself, given her demeanor, her fear, and the manner in which her behavior was altered by Mitch's call. Perhaps Audra once worked with Mitch on something illegal, a money laundering scheme, a cover-up tied to Noah's crash, or a deal involving Holden that went bad. Alternatively, Sienna might confess that Audra has been using Holden to manipulate Claire, keeping her close to Kyle as a form of emotional leverage. This would explain why Audra's name evokes such discomfort. She's not just dangerous, she's strategic. Whatever the truth, Sienna's revelation will almost certainly involve betrayal. It will fracture relationships, expose lies, and push Kyle further into obsession. Naturally, the tragedy is that he may lose everything else that matters even as he uncovers the truth. The future of the LA arc. The writers of The Young and the Restless have crafted this LA storyline as a slow-burning thriller within the larger romantic drama. The show has opened the door to expanding beyond Genoa City with the new narrative threads anchored by Sienna and Mitch. Depending on how the next few weeks unfold, these characters could either fade after the Noah crash storyline resolves, or they could migrate north, bringing their chaos with them. Imagine Sienna arriving in Genoa City, haunted by what she told Kyle. Imagine Mitch confronting Audra face to face, forcing her to choose between loyalty and self-preservation. The potential is enormous, and given Tamara Braun and Roger Howarth's chemistry, it's almost certain the writers will want to keep them around. Kyle's downfall or redemption? At its heart, this arc is about Kyle's moral reckoning. His quest for truth, however noble, is clouded by ego and jealousy. He wants to protect Claire, yes, but he also wants to prove that Audra can't outsmart him. This dual motive ensures his journey will not be a clean one. The closer he gets to uncovering Audra's secret, the more compromised he'll become. Kyle's transformation from hero to anti-hero will be complete if Sienna's information leads him into darker territory, such as dealing with Mitch, breaking ethical rules, or betraying Claire's trust. He may believe he's chasing justice, but in soap logic, justice often comes with a price.